Hey, this is Scott of PhotographyBonanza.com. Today I'm talking about the Nikon Speedlight SB-800. I picked this up used somewhat recently. I was going on a trip to Arizona and I wanted a flash that had all of the features that help you do photography a little bit easier. I have manual flash and wireless triggers, but I just wanted something simple, easy to use, and I went with this. I was initially planning to get one of the new Nikon flash units, the lower end model. I can't really remember what the number is for that one, but it doesn't have high-speed sync. It does have a tilting head, but it's still, a bit ways off from a more advanced flash like this one. SB-800 is not sold new anymore. They have a replacement. It's probably the 700 or one of the more higher end models. You can still find this used, of course. It does have a tilting and swiveling head. You just push this button here and then you can change the position. It also has, as most flash do, the diffuser for wide angle and a bounce card internal. Now this flash, I did actually come with a whole box and everything. So I do have most of the accessories. It comes with these two different colored gels for color correction, color temperature orange, and then a green for fluorescent. This is of course for the tungsten light. So that's a nice little thing. Also, you can buy an optional accessory. This one came with it for a 5th battery. You just take this door off, comes off pretty easily, and you attach this with a battery inside, and it supposedly improves performance. I haven't bothered to use it at this point, but maybe I will eventually. Pretty solid setup. I like how these are set up. Usually it's in a configuration of 4 next to each other, but I prefer this row like this. Locking down the flash on the camera is pretty easy. It just has this little switch. Slide it onto the camera, and then you just slide the switch over. It stays on. It is a little wobbly. I don't know if that's just my flash because it's used and older, but it's not going to come off. The flash also comes with a additional diffuser. This one didn't, but I have my Yongnuo ones, or it's perfect fit for this flash. I can use that on it. So let's turn on the camera, turn on the flash. So here is the SB-800, a little closer up, the main screen here. A few different buttons I'll go over. Let me turn on the camera too. So on the main display you have a few informational items. TTL, of course, is the communication method. BL, this is an important one for me, automatic balanced exposure. So the flash and the camera will work together to help you get a balanced foreground and background exposure. And FP is for high-speed sync. It's the Nikon's naming for high-speed sync. The button up here is a test button to get an idea of what your lighting will look like. You just hold it down and it does continuous flashes. Over here is a definition of your exposure compensation for the flash. You can modify that by pressing up or down on the main control dial. Of course, mode button, flash test button, and on off. Pretty simple control layout. Mode cycles through different options. So here's a AA FP sync mode, and then guide number, FP sync. And usually the control dial will let you modify something in the screen. So you can see that's changing the aperture, and then this one changes the zoom head. And then full manual, FP sync, and then it just gives you some information about flash distance and all that. I'm not even sure what RPC is, but definitely quite a few different modes to select from. I usually use this one here, TTL balanced exposure with FP sync, and then it gives you an idea of range on it and what your camera is set at. So I can change the aperture and then it updates on the screen here. Pretty easy. To get into the more advanced modes, you have to hold this SEL button down, and then you can see it has a few different options. You can cycle through these, and here is one of the more important ones to get into the creative lighting system, which is the flash off the camera. Get into that maybe a little bit. You can define where or how this flash will be set up in that system. So if I wanted it to be a remote, I select that, the remote option, and then once you go back to the main screen, I'm holding the button down, so you can see it's fully set up. You can take this off the camera, and then channel, I have it set to channel 3. You can change those, of course, with this dial here and the grouping and all that. But like I said, it has a lot of these advanced features in it. If you can find it used, I think it's still a really great option in Nikon flash units. So just put it back on the camera. I think I'll make a future video to get into that wireless system because it's pretty decent. Of course it doesn't use radio frequency or anything, so it's somewhat line of sight, but I think the Nikon system's a little better than some other ones with what you can do with it. Overall, I'm very happy with this flash unit. Results, I mean, rarely have I had the flash and camera, you know, give me a bad overall exposure when I've got this balanced mode set up. So it seems very smart. It doesn't go bad on me often, even when I'm using, you know, bouncing the flash or using some type of diffusion on the front. So that was the Nikon SB-800. Thanks.